Well, this isn't what I expected. Hey everyone, I know it's been a while, but I'm glad to be back, especially during these very, very interesting times. But it's certainly given me more time to make videos, and I'm glad to be back. So, hot cup of coffee never hurts, especially when it's hot outside, which brings up a wonderful little game that we're going to be talking about today. That is Coffee Talk. Now, why did I decide to play this game to begin with? Well, I'm a barista. For the past 2 years now, I've been making cups of coffee as a slave to the establishment. Alright, that doesn't sound as good. I've been making coffee for a while. That's better. So this is a game that not only caters to me for what I do, but it also looks like a nice little game for people to greet their customers and make cups of coffee, and this looks like a nice little cozy time. So let's take a look.
Coffee Talk was developed by Togi Productions, a company that I've never heard before, but taking a look at their back catalog of games, Coffee Talk seems to be the most successful out of all of them. In Coffee Talk, you play a barista, which you can name, running a coffee shop in the mythical world that is Seattle! And no, I'm not making that last part up. Coffee Talk takes place in a world where mythical creatures such as orcs, elves, mermaids, and so on live with humans. Which, admittingly, with the exception of one character, the game doesn't really do much with the whole mythical creature aspect. Your coffee shop runs only during the night, which economically isn't the best idea, but at the same time it brings the most interesting people out. Speaking of people, you have Freya. She usually comes in almost every day, takes 3 shots of espresso, and talks about her novel, which she's writing about the going-ons of the coffee shop that she's in, and the regulars around it, and her day job as a writer for the local newspaper. She's trying to juggle what's going on with her life alongside her sleep schedule being all, well, messed up.
That's, relatable.
After that, well... Okay, Coffee Talk is pretty much a visual novel. You tap the spacebar and text comes to you while you're talking to your regulars, and every once in a while you make their drinks.
While that may sound a little boring to some people, the game keeps itself interesting by the characters that you interact with from night to night, and the story that slowly unfolds throughout the game.
Like, for example, Luna and Bailey's relationship. How their parents disapprove of their relationship given their race, and how Luna values more of her family while Bailey wants to dispose of his family because of how he lives and how he's loving someone who's not an elf. They both learn that they both need each other even though it doesn't seem that way. And we also learn that Bailey's eventually meets Luna's parents, which is great. So, it brings a little cute moment into the game, which I like. Or how Rachel and Hendry, I hope I pronounced that one right, Hendry, dealing with fame and how a father and daughter handle that. Rachel wanting her independence while Hendry wants to find what's best for his daughter's life, even though Rachel views that as him being more intrusive. After her mom died, Rachel and Hendry's relationship dwindled. But thanks to spending time in the coffee shop and Hendry stepping in to protect his daughter from going into a party, which we later learn wasn't exactly the safest place for an 18-year-old, they learn that they need each other. You clearly see these characters' arcs and the relationships from many of the characters built throughout the story. You not only learn the characters based off of what they talked about, but the game also has a little social media where you can learn more about them, which I find pretty cute. For the most part, I find it enjoyable to find out what else these characters are up to. The game takes place in a total of 2 weeks, with the final day bringing a little where are they now kind of part, where depending on what drinks you serve them, each character gets a slightly different ending. I'll be honest though, this game kind of felt like they needed to flesh out the characters a little longer because we only see a few of them for a few days. I really wanted to see Hyde and Gallo's relationship. Aside from what's told to us, the game's communities pretty much ship these characters, and well, you know what? I see it, yeah. Gallo and Hyde. What's their ship name? Kide. Oh god, I'm getting off the script here. Gallo is this werewolf who's not only a veteran in, well, Vietnam, I'm guessing? They don't really tell us about that. He was a bodyguard for Hyde, and now he works for a hospital. He clearly cares about helping people, while Hyde is, well, known for being a model and is very full of himself, but when they're together, it makes sense as to why they've been friends for almost 50 years. Same thing goes for Mithro and Aqua. Talk about people who seem like polar opposites. One's super quiet and keeps to themselves, but obviously is super tough, and the other is somewhat over-apologetic and lacking confidence. But thanks to hanging out with each other, they become more sociable people thanks to the relationship they've built in and out of the coffee shop. Well, I shouldn't say people, but you know what I mean. I really wanted more off these characters is all I'm saying, or well, bring more depth into the gameplay. I think the character that has the most amount of depth is the one that we spend the most amount of time with. Going back to Freya again. In Coffee Talk, if you haven't noticed already, the barista that you play as actually talks to his customers and in a way is a character on its own. In terms of the baristas and Freya's relationship, it seems like an old friend helping out someone who's giving them the advice that they need rather than what they want to hear, if that makes any sense. I think the game pulls off that story very well. The gameplay of Coffee Talk is very minimal. In terms of actual drink making, you select 3 items and that's about it. It isn't super stressful in terms of making drinks in a certain time or people freaking out about their drinks to begin with, unlike real life.
Fuck, I hate my job sometimes.
Fuck you, Karen. But at the same time, this isn't the kind of game where you're frantically making drinks from one customer one at a time. Rather, you're taking your time with drinks, just like how your regulars take your time with you. There's also an option for making some latte art for certain drinks, and well, I mean, Jesus Christ. I'm not the best at latte art, not even by a long shot, but at the same time, I just can't make it hard. I've tried. It either just looks like flowers or dicks. I don't know, man. The drinks you make, though, obviously looking 8-bit, look absolutely delicious. If you need some help remembering the recipes, you can always go to your phone, look up how to make something. But over time, you discover new drinks while playing the game, or just based off the character's preference at the time. The overall cozy atmosphere this game brings is pretty great too. The coffee shop itself is pretty much the only place where you go in the game, but aesthetically this is a place where I want to hang out at. It looks pretty cool and you can sit at the bar or over at another space where you can't see. It's very relaxing and thanks in part to the music by Andrew Jeremy. Dude, I've been listening to the soundtrack alone without the game. That's how much I like it. And I can only say that for a few games. It has some pretty good lo-fi hits to either drink coffee to or to play some games with. Or both in my case. Going back to the game though, the only real problem I have is, well, the fact that it's a visual novel kinda lowers its replayability. I mean, there's an endless mode where you can make drinks and weird combos and all, but aside from that, you only really have the story where, if you know where the story is going, well, then there's only that. I would say, even with that, Coffee Talk is one of those games where it's kind of one of those one and done kind of games, if that makes any sense. It definitely has a lot going for it, with the setting, the character-driven story, the music, but the gameplay is just lacking, unfortunately, which makes it a tough sell for someone who isn't interested in visual novels. But if you are interested in visual novels, then I would highly recommend getting into this game if it's on sale. The game is about 3 hours long and is about $12 on its own. Not a big deal, but still kind of a little bit of a tough sell. You know, given what's going on with the world right now, with quarantining, social distancing, and all that wonderful stuff, this game has reminded me of what we considered normal back before this happened. Now, obviously, this game was made before the coronavirus, but still, it reminds me of what we once had. Socializing in public spaces, meeting new people, building relationships. I mean, with the rise in popularity of Discord and Zoom, it really helps with keeping us all connected. It really keeps in mind that you should appreciate the relationships that you have with your friends, family, and so on, because unfortunately, with the way things are right now, that may not last. I hope things can go back to normal, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen anytime soon. But in the meantime, let's enjoy the time we have and the relationships that keeps us all together.
Well, that was a little deeper than I normally do for these videos, but I mean, at the same time, this game kind of brings to mind what's going on in the world. You know, just appreciate what we have and all that wonderful stuff. It's cold!
Coffee Talk, for what I played, I enjoyed it, but it's not one of those games where I'm going to come back to anytime soon. They either need to expand the story or expand the gameplay, if that makes any sense. But for what we have here, Coffee Talk is a nice little visual novel that I would recommend playing through if you're interested in visual novels, or coffee for that matter, but lacks the replayability in terms of gameplay. If you are interested, I will wait for it to be on sale. I came for the coffee, and I stayed for the people, if that makes any sense.
Thank you guys for watching this. I would like to thank everyone who was involved in making these videos possible and getting my channel back in order. That includes you, camera guy. And I'm trying to have a set schedule, at least somewhat ready. But for the time being, we're just gonna kind of have like little infrequent videos. But I do have something planned for Halloween, so there's that going on. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay safe and have a great day.